Great job. This is like unusual sized band day. And it's really nice to see the other extreme in terms of all the different, instrumentation, using, get French horns in the band or tuba, so this is really nice. In short, the issues that we've had with a larger band is in terms of balance. This is something that I think that you guys can spend some time on, and specifically, when I listen to the band, it's difficult to hear who has the lead sometimes, because your arrangements are great, and they're specific, that I get the impression they're kind of tailored for an odd-sized group. So traditionally, with most bands, like as we talked earlier, the leads are kind of in the middle. Sometimes I hear the leads over here in the flute, sometimes it's in the trumpet, sometimes it's in the trombone, sometimes it's the soprano. It's moving around a lot. It's important that all of us, anybody in the band, always kind of knows who the star of the show is. Okay, if you're on television or you're in a movie and they don't have the camera on like who's getting paid the most, someone's in trouble. So whoever is playing, whoever's got the melody, that's kind of where everyone kind of needs to get around. And sometimes it's just not clear. Or sometimes even though the dynamic marking might be loud, I'm hearing inner parts more than I'm hearing who's got the top. And it really is, it's crucial to know who's got the lead, not only because that's the melody, but also intonation-wise. Sometimes it's a little swirly because we can't really tell what the tonality, what the chord sounds like. So check that out. Rhythm section in general, you guys are doing a great job. This room is difficult, and every venue you're ever going to play in from now on is going to have to require some adjustment. And in my comments, sometimes you were loud, sometimes you were loud, sometimes you were loud. This is like a constant game of like trying to, it's like whack-a-mole, making sure, okay, who's got what. But always keep the big picture in mind in terms of serving the band and knowing what the music requires for you to do. So, thank you.
Was great. I love the instrumentation of this band, and I love the power of your voice. Now, a couple of things about stage presence. You looked right at us, except for at the end, right? As soon as your song was over, you were clapping. You were not facing us. So imagine a few more bars of lyrics so that you're still there. We can see you. We can really acknowledge you for all the great singing. Volume-wise, raise your hands if at any point, and if you felt like you or your section could have been a little softer on anything. All right, well there you go. So that will help us bring more music to the audience, and it will help bring them to us, right? So I think maybe on the last song, the rhythm guitar can be softer, and also drums. I think you had such a great groove and so much interaction with everybody. But find places, like in clockwise, find places maybe at the beginning of a solo to suddenly get not only quieter, but also simpler. Your left hand, start with it not playing, and then just interject a couple of things. Ed Thigpen had a great thing that he would do in Oscar Peterson's trio, where he would start with brushes and then start with sticks, and then put a little left hand, and put a little more left hand, and go to the shout chorus. So that's something you can play with a little more. The harmony was very clear at all times from the rhythm section, and there was a lot of clarity, just togetherness over here. And on the four, the eighth note figures from the horns when you were in the straight eighth notes sometimes could be a little more legato. Towards the end they were, and it made it feel really good, but sometimes they were a little broken up. So just maybe a little more in one breath kind of thing. The last thing, at the beginning of four, we need to figure out a way to make that feel more relaxed, because the first few notes we play are going to set the audience's mood. So maybe just think about ways to take such an intricate syncopated melody and make it feel relaxed. It could just be a matter of practicing it slower, feeling it in bigger chunks, like feeling it in two, feeling it in one. Maybe just taking the tempo slightly under. But those were nice surprises with the arrangements, and really sensitive interplay. So thank you very much for a great and interesting set.
Thank you all. I'll speak very briefly as well. I enjoyed the performance. You know, it's been different size ensembles, but this ensemble has a very unique sound, and you should embrace that. In embracing that, I think a lot of my notes spoke about balance issues. You know, I think, you know, especially the trumpets, I could barely hear the second trumpet, so you can really play. It's just two of you, so I don't think anyone's going to say shh, you know, so you can feel the clear play on that. One thing I love about like Dennis is playing, which is reminiscent of Mel to me, is that on the music it says one thing, but he pays attention to everything in the band, and he adds way more than the music says. So I think it's great that you played the part, but you're a great drummer. You know, listen out through the band, listen where you can help. You know, you hear things that, you know, rehearsal that aren't quite there with the band, you can help them out, you know, and do things creatively to support the band more. That was part of my notes as well. Again, with the guitar, it was pretty powerful behind the vocalist. You did a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. Beautiful job. I would say behind her, I lost you a few times, even though your voice is extremely powerful. The band rose above that, you know? And so just watch our dynamics. I think it's the art of accompaniment, you know? Not only for a vocalist, but for one another, you know, for solos. She took a great solo, great flute solo. Just make sure when you're playing, every now and then, just clarity. Think about clarity, you know, through your ideas. You know, sometimes I would lose certain things, so just make sure the air and the clarity's there. You may not be like a lead player, but it's okay. You know, some of the notes, if you don't get them, don't let them get you down. Take them down. Just make sure the part is there, you know. Awesome job. Thank you.